Watch me. Watch me take this on down the road.
I found him like this in the bathroom, Your Honor. Somebody beat the hell out of him.
Who did this?
A madman, Your Honor!
¡De tiempo! ¡De tiempo! Portland, mira. Tyler Hero es muy bueno.
The goal of building a championship contender around Dame, which is something that this organization is committed to trying to attempt to do. And I think that level of commitment-ish really says a lot.
The creature is wanted for a murder he didn't commit. Rich Finley is believed to be dead, and he must let the world think that he is dead, until he can find a way to control the raging spirit that dwells within him.
Oh, now I'm sad.
Hey, welcome to Rip City Retro? Hi, I'm Rich Finley. It's been a little while since I did this. Daddy went out for smokes. So, sorry if you've been waiting for a while. But it's exciting and a little bit nerve-wracking for me to be doing shows again. I'll explain that to you in just a second, but I just want to say hi to all you guys. So I hope everybody is doing great. As I film this, it's Saturday, January the 24th. I think you'll probably get this same day. Eric Brandt and I just recorded an episode talking about all of the stories that I missed. So Eric did a top 10 stories about the Blazers that I have not been able to comment on for the last 2.5 years. So I can't wait for you to see this episode. It's a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. I just wanted to address a couple of things off the top. Why I hadn't done videos for 2.5 years. So just very quickly, I don't want to waste a lot of time talking about health stuff, but 3 years ago, I had a fall in which I hurt my elbow, my spine shifted, and I hit my head. And I ended up getting corrective surgery on my elbow, got corrective surgery on my back. I've got that nasty, like, tinnitus ringing in my ears at a really high level. But I also got a really bad brain injury from it. And I didn't find out about the brain injury until a time after the fall. And when I was doing Rip City Retro, I started the channel about 4 to 5 months after the fall. And I started to notice, like, at the end of that summer, right around the time we were about to trade Dame, like, all of a sudden, like, I felt like my gears kind of grinding down. And I was like, what is wrong with me? And sometimes with brain injuries, it can take a while for you to feel the effects. And by the time I got to Christmas that year, I mean, I was just like, I don't feel right. Like, I'm having a lot of issues. Long story short, I had multiple microbleeds in my brain. I now have confirmed brain damage, and it's progressive. So I have brain damage significantly in 3 areas of my brain. It involves cognition and personality and memory. It would have been really funny if I forgot the last one. But those are the 3 areas that I have trouble with. And I've definitely noticed, like, the last 2.5 years have been very, very difficult. And it's been very hard for me, especially with the confirmation of the progressive nature of the injury coming a couple of months ago. Once I had the progression confirmed, I wanted to come back on here and start doing videos again because I'm like, okay, screw it. Like, I may not be as good or sharp or as funny as I used to be, but while this is a progressive injury, like, I can still do some good content for a while. I mean, ultimately, the channel is just going to be like watching a goldfish. I mean, there will be videos at some point where I'm just like, hopefully not like anytime soon, hopefully way off in the future. But with dealing with something like this, like, I still want to be serviceable, and I still want to try to do something with what wit I have left. And and still connect with people and talk about the good old days of the Blazers and things like that. And I think that's healthy to do. I think that helps stimulate the brain as well. So, that's why I'm back. So I'll do the best I can for you guys. If you want to help in any way, shape, or form, literally keep the lights on around here because there's a lot of expenses over the course of 3 years being hurt like this. So if you want to contribute, there are ways to contribute in the section below, in the about section on this video. I can't even remember what we call it. And also either of the methods to your left. You can use those couple, or you can go in the description of this video. The description of the video, that's what we call it. The description of the video, and you can see ways that you could help out. Otherwise, just click like, share, subscribe, and comment. You're going to help me a lot with content. Just commenting below and asking questions about, either the current Blazer season or anything that's gone on in the last 2.5 years that you'd like my opinion on. You could comment on this great video with Eric and myself. Eric was awesome. He put this whole thing together, this list of Blazer stories that I missed. So can't wait for you guys to see it. I don't want to ramble too much. That is definitely something that, since my brain injury has taken more, my dog's crying, taken more, has become more prominent since my brain injury has come to light. I ramble really, really badly. And you guys have only known me with a brain injury, so I am so sorry. But it's much worse now, quite frankly. But I try to be cognizant of it so I don't do it too much. So without further ado, it's great to see you guys and enjoy this talk with Eric and myself. Joining me for the first time in quite a while is a man who needs no introduction. What's up?
Yeah, what's up? No introduction needed, of course.
No.
How are you, Rich?
No, I'm kidding. It's good to see you, Eric. Everybody knows who you are. I'll give you the formal introduction. The man, the myth, the legend, the human teddy bear himself. I forgot what I've said last time, which kind of goes along with my brain injury, but it's the wonderful Eric Brandt. What's up, Eric?
I would say it's so nice, Rich, to finally be able to record a video with you once again. This would be really exciting if this was our first time talking.
If it was real and legitimate.
Yeah. Full disclosure, we a couple days ago tried to record a video, and Rich, bless his little heart over there, was having some major difficulties with his setup that ended up being very simple fixes, and so we had to scrap that and plan for a new day to record. So here we are recording.
Listen, if there ever needed to be evidence of me having a brain injury, it was our taping the other day. So real quick, I already gave the audience a little bit of an intro saying that we're back. As much as I can be back, I guess, or as much of me is back. And we're just going to try and make videos as we go along and see how that goes. You gave me a hard time last time, but I thought it was very funny when you asked about my intro, if my intro was going to have like multiple one more things. Where I keep telling the audience one more thing.
Yeah, this guy filmed, he says he filmed some intro. We go to start recording. He's like, oh, don't worry. I already recorded an intro. It's only like 8 minutes long. I'm like, dude, 8 minutes? Like, how many times did you say, oh, one more thing, and then I'll be done here, and then you ramble on for 3 more minutes?
Listen.
And then I made fun of his other video where he gave us an update on his health and how he kept saying he was going to wrap it up. And then I looked down, and there's still 10 minutes longer in the video. So I got to give you crap about that.
I love how you make fun of the crippled.
Right.
All kidding aside, and I said this to you last time when we filmed, so you have to suffer through this again. But all jokes aside, because we're Blazer fans, so we typically joke through pain, right? But this has been such a difficult 3 years for me. And you have been such a wonderful friend through this entire process. Even though we weren't making videos together, we were constantly like saying hello and what's up and things like that. And you've been so supportive and so kind through everything that I've been dealing with, and very empathetic, regardless of the crappy way that you're presenting yourself today. But I just wanted to tell you from the bottom of my heart, you're a true friend, and I really appreciate you so much. And part of the reason that I wanted to get back to making videos was, I told you about my recent diagnoses and the follow-up tests and stuff like that, kind of proving that my brain injury is progressive. And so the idea is, eventually these videos will just be you doing all the talking and me just kind of, hey, like that. That'll, at some point, Eric, you got to promise me. You have to promise me that you will tell me we won the 1991 NBA championship. You have to craft the story to be like, no, Richie, Cliff Robinson did not drop that ball out of bat. Like, and I'll be like, he didn't. It'd be like, no, he didn't. Like, you have to lie to me when the time comes.
I swear he dropped it out of bounds. No,
I
Rich,
thought he
that's
did.
just your brain injury. We won the championship. What are you talking
Oh,
about? Our whole friendship has been celebrating that year that
I
we both
can't.
witnessed.
I can't wait. I got to tell you a couple of things real quick. Brain injury. Then we'll get into today's show. So I have a friend who just had meniscus surgery a week ago. Okay, he had his meniscus operated on, and his whole leg was swelled up and everything. And his wife happened to be out of town the whole weekend on a previously arranged trip. So he was all by himself for the weekend. I called him last weekend to check on him, see how he's doing, all of that stuff. And then I called him yesterday, which was just 5 days later, and said, hey, what's going on? We haven't caught up in a while. Like, let me know how you're doing. Completely forgot
So
about
you already
him.
had.
Yeah,
Wow.
completely forgot about him having the surgery. Completely forgot that we talked twice last weekend. Like, just completely like,
Wow, Rich.
no, it's terrible.
I know.
Like this stuff happens to me a lot, and I'm having to like document them and keep track of them, because I feel like at times, I mean, we've talked about the fact that I don't watch Blazer games in totality because they wear me out too much. So I mainly am like checking the ESPN app, and if it's a close fourth quarter, I click over and stuff like that. But I've been trying to learn how to regulate my brain a little bit better the last couple of years. But when it comes to like things you forget, like if you forget them, like you forget them. And I went somewhere a couple of weeks ago, and I saw a guy that I did a movie with. I know I did a movie with him. I know we were pals on the movie. We have seen each other at various places in Los Angeles at various times, and like hugged and caught up and the whole thing. I have no clue who this person is. And
Yeah.
when he
Well, that
saw
happens to
me,
all of us.
huh?
That happens to the best of us.
Yeah, but it really
Maybe not to that
me a lot. Yeah. And I mean, even racking my brain though for weeks, like trying to remember, where did we work together? And we worked together on a film for like weeks, and I just gone, you know? And yet I can tell you like, the 1991 Western Conference Finals shot selection in the fourth quarter of game one, like that, right? I think we all kind of have that a little bit. But anyway, so it's been a crazy 3 years. Once I kind of realized like this thing isn't really going to get any better, then I just thought, okay, how about just doing whatever level of shows that we can to document the fact that I was here at some point in life before things get too bad. So, with all that said, thank you for being here. Now, one thing that I did learn from our last episode. So, what we're going to do today for the audience is we're going to go through the top 10 Blazer stories that I was not doing Rip City Retro videos for, even though some of them I really wanted to. Videos that or topics that I did not comment on. and you have compiled these. I do not know the list, with the exception, I know number 10 and number 9 because we started our video the other day. But one thing that I'm coming into today's video with is I am going to try really hard, and it is a byproduct of my brain injury, so forgive me, but I do ramble a lot. Like, I am...
Sure, blame the brain injury for
No,
this one.
no.
You've always been a rambler.
Listen, you and I only met on camera post the brain injury.
True.
Yeah, so like December of 22. So, like, you don't know.
You can't tell me you weren't a rambler before that.
I was energetic, but I was typically focused. Now I'm like, I'm grandma going through boxes in the garage. You know, like that's me. I'm like, oh, look at this. So I will try my hardest to stay on topic today. We're doing this video early in the day, so Daddy's got all of his energy to focus and things like that. So I'm going to turn things over to you. I think you had honorable mentions last time, so we'll do that, but I'll try to stay on topic. So let's go.
Yeah, and real quick, I use humor as a way of dealing with stuff. I do. I mean, I feel terrible about Rich, but him and I think...
You mean just as a person? You feel terrible about me as a person?
Just like everything that's gone on in your life and all the things that have happened to you. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've had conversations about humor being okay to like joke about
absolutely.
it and stuff like that. So
no, I've told you better do it. I've told you better make it.
Right. So if anyone is like, dang, Eric, why are you making fun of this guy's brain injury? Like Rich has told me he prefers me to treat him like I would be treating like you know, as a friend. Just
I was gonna say a real boy. Like, what are you gonna say?
He's a real boy. No. So like, yeah, we're both the type that use humor to, you know, make a tough situation.
Yeah, but
you know,
but truth be told, and I mean, let's tell the truth. We both are very heartfelt, sensitive people
right.
that will definitely jump on the phone and have... I mean, you have reached out to me multiple times, like concerned and things like that. So yeah. So anybody like that's just not entertaining for the video. So anyway, exactly. Okay, let's jump into the top stories that I missed while I was away for 2.5 years.
All right, so man, so I remember some of your last videos. You did a PSA.
Oh,
you did
the PSA is my favorite. The PSA is my favorite thing on the channel.
Yeah, but so we're going on about 2 years or so since all that happened. And yeah, so this is going to be all the big things that happened in the last 2 years. And can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
I will say that a lot of this list, man, it's crazy. Like, just find, like, normally, you know, just 2 seasons trying to find 10 major things to talk about is pretty difficult. You'd have to kind of stretch a little bit. But I had to like cut stuff out. So we'll do a few honorable mentions real quick.
Okay.
The first is injuries being a story once again with the Blazers. Can never have nice things. The main one being Scoot going into his 3rd season. They announced he has a hamstring tear. He's initially going to be reevaluated in 4 to 8 weeks. And then we're now at the end of January pretty much. And
are we sure it wasn't 48 weeks?
Maybe. Feels like it at this point, but we're over halfway into the season, almost to the 50 game mark, and still no Scoot. There's some talk that he might be back sometime soon, maybe, but just all the injuries this year, you know, Drew, Jeremy get hurt again. You know, some of it last year was Deni's hurt with his back. Some of it last year was you know, tanking towards the end of last season. But just what are your overall thoughts about injuries once again putting a damper on the Blazers' chances and situation and prospects and all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of unfortunately, it's par for the course. I mean, we've had an inordinate amount of this just in our semi-recent history. You know, those great 90s teams that we talk about a lot, they were actually really durable. So, you know, when I was really coming into my fandom, and you too, like, we weren't used to this, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, Sam Bowie was always getting hurt, but that was before they started getting really good. It's a shame. I mean, to kind of just keep it to the Scoot talk, it's such a bummer because when you think about, I mean, this is his third season. Now, when he comes back, it's not really like we're way beyond like how much have you improved from year 2 to year 3. We're in an area where it's like, oh God, please don't get hurt for year 4. You
Yeah,
know?
please just fit in.
Yeah. And you know, he's got to start thinking about his career and his future and things like that. So it's a bummer, but you know, it would not be Rip City without the RIP in it.
Yeah,
So you know,
right.
that's the way it goes, unfortunately.
Yep. So yeah, that's just been a bummer. And just a quick side note, um, we're doing this with 12 days left until the trade deadline. So obviously, if a trade happens between now and the trade deadline and this video, we obviously wouldn't have known about it. So that's why it wasn't included. If you're curious, like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, we traded for Giannis, and it's not, you guys didn't. That's not number one. Like, yeah, we didn't know about it at the time of filming.
Right.
All right, next honorable mention is kind of just because I love this part about you, Rich. Like, you have a knack for like your reactions and just kind of poking fun at press conferences. And so it was really fun, and I was so disappointed. We definitely talked about them and made jokes about them, but Cronin and Billups get extensions
Oh.
this last offseason.
Oh.
And then there's ensuing press conferences. We also have exit interviews last year and media day this year with press conferences. And I thought there was a lot of stuff that you would have really found gold with to make fun of or to make a video about. And it was just a shame that you weren't able to do that. So I just wanted to give you a quick, brief minute or so to talk about those and what your thoughts were on those two getting extensions in the first place.
I appreciate you framing this with, I'd like to give you a brief minute to try to rein me in.
Well, it's not even one of the top 10, so
I know. I think when that press conference happened, with the joint press conference with Billups and Cronin getting their contract extensions, I think I texted you and said, OMG, this is comedy porn, this press conference. Something like that.
Yeah.
It was, that press conference actually was the thing that made me feel like a sale was imminent. Because it felt like a job well done, boys. Here's what you get for taking all of our marching orders and doing exactly what we wanted. You're somebody else's problem. You know, we're not gonna be on the hook for those contracts. And that's really what I came away with. But yes, I mean, just the nonstop. Now, what's funny is, much like the intro to this video of like the Dallas opening of opening the shower door and Patrick Duffy is there again and everything is forgotten. I have come back to Blazer management making some pretty good moves. So it's a little like, wait, what has happened here?
Yeah.
But still all of the incessant convincing us of how much both of these guys are winners and addicted to winning and all of that was just, it was never not funny and enjoyable comedically. So there have definitely been, you know, some press conferences. There was when Scoot came back after his rookie year and had the munchies at Media Day. You remember that day? That was pretty funny.
He learned food from his first.
Yes. So there have
First
definitely been a lot of press conferences that have been painfully comedic. Hopefully, coming back to the channel, like this is a high IQ outfit now. If you know, you know, and hopefully there won't be these like laughing through pain moments with press conferences and things like that. But yes, there were definitely a couple of press conferences where, like, coping with brain injury stuff and all that aside, I was like, man, I wish I was making videos because I'd love to talk about this. So yeah, there were really a couple of good ones in there.
And I agree with you. It felt like the extensions. I mean, I certainly see why some people think they were justified or whatever.
It's hard to
but
have a lame duck coach, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah, it did really feel like we're about to sell the team. Here's some extra money just in case he comes in and cleans house.
Yeah.
That way, because they're guaranteed contracts. So like, here, we're gonna take care of you guys. Thank you. And then but sorry if you get fired, at least you have some extra money when the new ownership comes in. All right. And
don't go blowing it, in a poker game or anything.
There you go, foreshadowing it. And then the last honorable mention, I really wanted to put this on the list just for personal reasons, but I had to leave it off just because there were so many things Blazer related. But this summer, I had a chance to go to LA. I went on a family trip to LA and had an opportunity to meet Rich in person. We hung out twice.
We did?
And
did we?
I don't know. Maybe. So yeah, we got to hang out, went to dinner at the Universal Studio Walk and talk for a while. And then also we went to your gym to shoot some hoops, and you beat me best 2 out of 3 in some horse and pig games. Yeah. And so it was really nice to meet you in person. It felt like we'd been friends for a long time. We've always had that kind of relationship where it didn't seem like we were meeting for the first time necessarily, I don't know if you felt the same way, but
I did. It was like we had hung out a million times. I mean, it was really cool. You're quite enormous. Let me just say, I am 6'2". I mean, I am man size, and I mean, I just felt like a child next to you. I felt like one of your kids. Yeah, that trip was awesome. Your wife is just a rock star. Good job cashing out there. Your wife was awesome. Your kids were great. And everybody, like, I didn't want to like selfishly take away like family time while you guys were hanging out, but your family was so cool to just like let me kind of tag along,
Yeah.
You were at Universal, and it was just great. It was great to hang out with you guys, and it was like the Mega Powers. Yeah, we were doing like our little handshake thing there.
Yeah. Maybe you could insert a picture here or something.
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah, I've got it somewhere on my phone. I'll try and find one.
Yeah. All right.
Now the list. Now the list.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to it. These are the top 10 things that Rich has not yet had a chance to talk about on this channel. So here we go.
Okay.
Number 10. I put the Anthony Simons Drew Holiday trade. This was this past off season. The Blazers finally move on from Anthony Simons, and they trade him for a 35-year-old guard with a huge contract for 3 more seasons. And so it's weird because Drew is a fantastic player, good leader, all that kind of stuff.
Even better person. Yeah.
Yep, 2 championships. So totally get that as well. But at the same time, the Blazers have tanked for like 4 seasons now and are in a rebuild around a young core and stuff like that. So like, what were your thoughts? Were you leaning more towards this is weird, or was it more like, okay, Drew's going to be a really calming influence on some of the younger guys, and you really like that move? Like, I could see both sides of it. So, like, what side were you leaning towards?
I was just leaning towards this is the franchise getting antsy and just kind of wanting some success, like a 43-39 season, making the play in, having a shot at getting one of those last two spots, that kind of thing. I think I told you the other day. I also had a little like random thought back to like when you and I were young enough to be going to clubs, where, if you're trying to really hit on like the marquee girl at the club, you've got to get in good with the friend. There's always the friend, the we gotta go girl. We gotta go. Like, you gotta win her over. If you don't win her over and let you know that, hey, this is a welcoming place. This is a place that you can come to and feel safe with and stuff like that. You're not going to get the marquee girl, because the we gotta go girl is going to step in every time to block. So I had a little bit of feeling of, if we're dreaming big, okay, if we're going big fish hunting, this might be one thing that you might do just to test the waters a little bit. And that was like one of my initial reactions to the trade. Happy for Ant, by the way, to get an opportunity to go to Boston. I thought it was going to be kind of an empty calorie season for Ant because of the injury to Tatum. But, where we stand today, the Celtics are in second place in the East. So it's kind of crazy. He's obviously not as productive offensively with the Celtics as he was here. But he has a much different role with the Celtics. So, but I'm happy for him to have the team success. But yeah, those were my thoughts about the trade. I thought Drew was going to raise the overall product on the floor, maybe not with a huge ceiling, but then potentially give us some delusions of grandeur of thinking we might be able to snag his big buddy in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and for those that haven't put two and two together, that's Giannis Antetokounmpo, who Rich is referring to,
Sure.
who has apparently given up on the Bucks and is now injured. And
hey, what did you make of the booing moment by Giannis?
I think it's pretty crazy to do that back to your home team.
I can't remember seeing anything like that.
I know a lot of players get frustrated when your hometown is booing you, but they were getting blown out in that game, and we're in this middle of a pretty abysmal stretch run of games. So,
yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of crazy that it's ending this way if it is ending.
Yeah.
But the other stuff about like them wanting to be just that little bit better to make a play-in or playoff run leads me into number 9,
okay,
which was that the Blazers in 2025, or towards the end of the 2024-2025 season, start playing some really good basketball. And that includes a stretch where they win 10 out of 11 games. And it really set the tone for what was to come that offseason and moving forward. It switched from okay, we're in this rebuild. What are we going to do at this position, or what are we going to do here? How are we going to improve the defense? It's been like one of the worst defenses in the league. Bam! All of a sudden, you have for a couple month stretch, one of the top defenses in the league, and just really getting it done on that end. And it kind of changed the tone of everything. Those press conferences we talked about, going from, oh, well, it's going to take time and we got to add talent and all this stuff, to not necessarily guaranteeing a playoff spot, but it definitely, and it did get walked back a little bit, but
yeah, for sure.
They definitely switched to a mode where they had expectations for the first time to need to be in the running for the playoffs at least, and be a play-in team. And And I think winning those 10 out of 11 games was the switch they needed. Now, we could talk about whether that's a big enough sample size to warrant that drastic of a shift, or if it was a little bit of fool's gold with, playing a lot of injured teams or whatever.
We've
But
had shorter sample sizes, Eric.
right. Yeah. Going back a couple years prior, we win 4 games in a row. And all of a sudden, that's like our core is this championship core that we have to build around. And, that didn't work out either. So, just your initial thoughts on the winning 10 out of 11, how fun it was to actually, after several very low seasons, in terms of Blazer fandom, watching them tank games away and lose on purpose, to see them win 10 out of 11 and kind of show you that ray of light, and then the following change of tone for the organization expectations. What were your thoughts on all that?
I mean, I was concerned because there was a little bit of, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, let's secure our draft status and things like that. But unlike in years past, there were some things that felt a little bit more sustainable during that 10-1 stretch. Obviously, the play of Deni, the play of Kamara, just Scoot was playing well during that time. I don't remember if it was during that 11-game stretch, but he had his first game winner at some point late in the season. That might have been during that stretch. I can't remember. So it felt a little more solid. I still was concerned that maybe it might skew expectations, or it might steer us a little more towards complacency than I would have liked. I was concerned about that as a negative consequence of that stretch. But I mean, that's what I was thinking at the time. It was good to see us win. It's always good to see the team win and celebrate a win, but you just get a little nervous as to whether it's fool's gold, whether the franchise is going to learn the wrong lessons from it and go from there. So,
yeah, completely agree with all that. It's different. And then, like I said, the only thing that drives me a little crazy is I like it when you own it. Like, okay, you think you've taken a step as a team. You both get extensions, Cronin and Billups, right? Don't then tell me, well, we'll see how it goes. We're not going to say that we want our goal is to make the playoffs and all that stuff. No, just come out and say, yes, we improved last year. It's not good enough yet, but we feel like we're on the right trajectory. And that next trajectory is at least the play-in this year. And we're going to be disappointed if we don't achieve that. But the problem is, they don't like to put expectations to that level. But to me, if you get extensions off a 36-win season where you didn't make the play-in, that there has to be a small jump, right? There has to be a minimal increase from there, and they were pretty close to the play-in at one point after that stretch.
Yeah.
So like that's the only logical step. It's not like you're putting championship aspirations on this team by saying, "Oh yeah, we hope we were a play-in team this year." Like as just to me, that was just, it was so obvious that's the mindset. Like they're at least want to get back into that direction. So don't like go up there and tell us, oh well, we're just still seeing how it goes. Like we're not going to put any demands on this roster or anything like that.
It's a little bit like the people who would tell you, don't do too good at your job. Like you don't want to kill it, because if you kill it, then they're going to expect that all the time. Like you want to leave some room, So,
yeah.
You always get a little nervous when your GMs get the extension and then they say, well, got to preach patience, like all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. All right. So also this last off season took almost to the end of the off season, but number 8 for me was Tamani Kamara and Shaden Sharpe signing long-term extensions. I believe they're both 4 years, right?
I think that's right.
And so both of them locked up. It seemed at the time pretty reasonable contracts. I thought I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on them, but just not having to go through this season with like what's going to happen with them in free agency this upcoming season, and then with the salary cap situation kind of blooming each year and increasing with the new TV deal coming up. It can't increase more than 10%, but it's still I feel like as the years go on, these contracts, they already seem pretty, I thought they were pretty good value. Maybe not like insane value, but just solid value. Like you didn't overpay, I don't feel like, for either one, but you also like rewarded them for their play. And then I think they're going to look better. Obviously, the better Tamani and Sharpe are, the better the contracts look. But just in terms of as the salary cap goes up and they're locked into those lower amounts, and we start to have some of the bigger contracts come off the books in a couple of years, we're going to be locked into a pretty good cap situation, I think, with those extensions. So what did you think of those two in particular?
Yeah, I think I remember texting you that day just being like over the moon about those two extensions. I thought they were great value. I mean, Shaden's deal, look, Shaden up until this season had been, I mean, for lack of a better term, almost like a big tease to a certain extent, because you see so much potential there and you just want to see him put it together. But also there was this kind of awkward thing with him and Chauncey where, his playing time was a little erratic, sometimes completely justified by his effort or lack of effort on the defensive end and things like that. So I don't know if the contract was necessarily paying for what we had gotten to that point, but more so on a trajectory. And boy, and I mean, I thought it was a great contract at the time when he signed it. I agree with you. I mean, not like it's not the value of Deni's contract, right? Like Deni's contract is just insane.
Yeah, well, it's the best contract in the league.
Yeah, it's the best contract in the league. But I still thought that Shaden's was great. I thought Kamara's was great as well. So, those are the things that do line you up to have a championship run, is you've got these guys on reasonable contracts like that. And, this is the place where Shaden being a little inconsistent those first 2 years really ends up helping us in terms of the extension that he signed. And I agree with you. It's so much better to have it signed in the summer and you're not worried about, some team like Charlotte coming in and just giving him this sweetheart offer during the summer that we can't afford to match. So I was thrilled. I was thrilled with both moves, and both guys are playing up and beyond those contracts, which is always great to see with young players. You never like to see young guys get paid and then, kind of dial it back a little bit. So been extremely happy with the contracts and the play of both guys.
The only thing I was kind of shocked about was that Sharpe actually signed a contract for that amount.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
Because, I mean, not that it wasn't fair market value or even giving him a little bit of potential value, like you mentioned. But to me, I don't know. I would have been looking at the situation if you're Sharpe, like, oh, I'm going to break out this year. I'm going to average like 25 points per game and look, like, I believe they'd already announced Scoot. I believe it was after Scooter got injured too. So like,
you got to figure your usage rate is going to be up so much more.
Yeah. We had traded Anthony and stuff, and Dame out for the year. So yeah, we're in a position where if I'm looking at it from Sharpe's perspective, I was like, man, why would I sign this? I could potentially get a max if I show out this year. So I was a little shocked that he signed the contract. But I mean, I'm thankful he did, and it's nice to have him locked up. And obviously, he cared more about just the security of being here and having that long term deal versus trying to like prove something more.
Yeah, it was it. I had that brief thought too when he signed the extension. I mean, while I was very happy for us, I was almost like, is he not willing to bet on himself? Like, is there any
Yeah.
part of him that has a little self doubt, so on and so forth? That not as a negative. I mean, he's still a super young guy. Uh, but yeah, I had that same thought too. I mean, obviously, it works out great for us, but yeah, that did occur to me too. I was surprised. I was surprised he took that.
All right, on to number 7. We have another thing that happened in this past off season, the 2025 off season, and this was a little shocking to me, just because the whole I don't know the person that was involved and just the Blazers moving on from this person, and I am referring to DeAndre Ayton just all of a
Oh,
sudden getting bought out, accepting a buyout for I think it was roughly like 9 or 10 million less than what he was supposed to do,
hmm.
saving the Blazers some cap space to later on potentially use a full mid-level exception instead of a lesser exception. So what were your thoughts when DeAndre Ayton is just all of a sudden off the team after starting most of his 2 years here and being a huge part of what the Blazers seemingly were trying to do? And what do you think that means overall in terms of what they thought of him and his attitude and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, obviously, you can understand why they made the trade in the first place. I mean, it was all part of the Dame trade, but really, like, you can almost look at it as a bit of a Nurkic for Aiden swap. And when you've got a former number one pick like that, that's still pretty young, that was on a team of veterans that went to the
We
NBA.
got Kamara in that too.
No, oh no, I know. But at that time, I mean, I know nerds like you were going crazy for Kamara, obviously. But just in terms of like the general NBA, in terms of, I mean, Kamara was an unknown commodity at that time. Obviously, looking back on it, I mean, we dominate that trade. But um,
We
I think it,
dominated.
I think it was a good risk, obviously, but very quickly, I mean, dude can't salt his driveway. Things like that became,
Well, he did live on a hill that couldn't do that.
oh, the dreaded hill. Eric, I grew up in West Virginia, where
Yeah.
we had like feet of snow, like
Mhm.
feet. So I don't want to hear it. But I understand a guy going from Arizona to Portland with icy conditions. Okay, maybe that's a problem. But
I real quick, I don't blame Ayton necessarily, but if you're the Blazers, why would you have not sent someone to like get him, like, or had some sort of plan to get him out of there?
yeah,
Um, and to me, that said a lot leading to this now that we're about to talk about is I don't think they cared that he didn't show up. Like, they were like, okay, fine,
or
don't show up.
or maybe they're sending the snowplows to his house, like
Right? Yeah,
pushing
they're
the snow.
burying him in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's funny.
I could not believe how they got him out. I could not believe it. Now there was all this rumbling talk about him going to the Lakers and things
Yeah.
like that, because I live in Los Angeles, so I was hearing a lot of that. And of course, Laker fans are completely delusional, so they were like, "Oh, we want to get DeAndre Ayton." I'm like, "You can have him, like please." But yeah, I was totally shocked by the way they were able to get him, saving all that money, and obviously what we did with that money later. But I thought it was wonderful, and it was a fitting end to Silent Ayton.
Yes. um, and we'll get more into this in a minute, but yeah, I thought that it was clear that with that buyout, they did not want players like that around. They wanted a specific mindset in their players, and and I think it's pretty clear just to give away someone for, or like to basically pay them
To go away.
to go away and
Yeah.
have dead money on your books, even though it was less than you would have had to pay him had he been here. But just to like have your starting center just be like, you know what, we're just going to pay you $25 million. Go sign with the Lakers and like just get out of our hair. Like,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
I
that's
and you know, I was so happy that they did it. I mean, for multiple reasons, but also just sometimes when you're not competitive, um, or you're trying to rebuild, that kind of thing, you need just some professional bucket getters on your team, just so you're not completely embarrassing, things like that. So I was concerned that they would bring him back just because he'd be a guaranteed 16, 17 points per game, but I did not want that to take away from the development of other players like Clingan and stuff like that. So I was so happy that he was gone, just for his minutes to open up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I know we make fun of Joe Cronin sometimes and joke about it, but
Sometimes.
sometimes. But like you have to give the organization and him credit for just simply saying, you know what, I'm done with this.
Cut
Go
your
away.
losses. Yep.
Thank you for accepting some less money so that we can afford to do this. But yeah, and I think it was smart to just not stretch out that dead money over several years, to just take a lump hit 1 year.
Yeah.
So I think that was a tough decision to make, but I think they made the right decision, and got to give them props for like actually going through with making that decision, because it would have been very easy to be like, oh, he has 1 year left, let's just suck it up for a year and
Sure.
let it play out, maybe use his expiring contract at some point at the deadline or something like that. So props to them for actually seeing the value in just not having him around anymore.
Yep. Totally agree.
All right, so number 6, I have I don't think this particular thing is like bigger than like, it might not even necessarily qualify for some people to be on this list.
Okay.
But I felt like this was a very, I don't know, it was not necessarily important, but just the decision to make this move and to well, I'll just say it's drafting Young Hansen and trading back from number 11 to do so. Considering, there's some players that have played pretty well for teams that Derek Queen and Cedric Coward that we actually saw drafted and wearing the Blazer hat on draft night and then traded for. So the Blazers trade back from 11 to 16. They pick up a future first round pick, which I thought at the time was a pretty good move to pick up that. But then you see just a couple picks later that the New Orleans Pelicans were willing to give up an unprotected pick this year, which might end up being one of the top picks in the draft for the 13th pick. And then later on, you hear Joe Dumars say that he tried from pick 9 to trade for all those picks until he made a deal with 13. So the Blazers could potentially be sitting here right now, not to beat a dead horse because we always talk about this on Blazers Uprise, but the Blazers could potentially be here trying to make the playoffs right now, while also simultaneously being in the running for a total game changer with 3 top level prospects in this upcoming draft.
Yeah.
But I digress. But just not only to trade back, but then to take someone who most I mean, you don't even have to be like a draft expert or whatever. Like the whole draft world slash NBA world was just like, what?
Oh yeah.
It was kind of out of left field, and this is not saying like young Hansen can't develop. He's certainly got some talent there and some ability. Certainly see some flashes at times, but just to make that move to just draft someone like, and even Joe Cronin, like for anyone who's going to argue with me in the comments, Joe Cronin himself said he knows it's a reach. It was a reach, but they really liked him. They said they had scouted him and wanted him to come in the draft the year before and didn't. And so coming off a year where you had Donovan Clingan, which once again we'll get to later, but it seems kind of weird to draft a center and use a first round pick on a center for a second straight year.
Yeah.
And then so like what did you think of that whole draft night move / press conference afterwards and all that kind of stuff? And it came out too real quick that oh, well, we had to take him at 16 because the Nets were going to take him at 19 or something like that. And we had to stay in front of him. But you could also argue, but why did it matter so much to get this guy? And then also we have the whole, some people believe it was a business decision to get some extra eyeballs for the pending sale.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff just to generate a little bit more buzz around the Blazer organization for that. So just encapsulate all that into your response, I guess.
I mean, I'm right there with you on all of that framing. I mean, I definitely thought that on draft night. I definitely thought, like if we're positioning ourselves for a sale and trying to, expound the virtues of what Blazer games are going to be worth internationally, it kind of made sense to make that move. It's an interesting draft. It's an interesting draft move in terms of it was highly mocked, and then Summer League came, and everybody's like, the Blazers have fooled the league, and then the season has started, and now it's back down to what were the Blazers thinking? So it's like everybody's forgotten this part,
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, if Smits is involved, I have a lot of belief and trust there. Obviously, you can see what they saw in him. It's just a matter of whether that is going to translate to the NBA or not. And I'm maybe this is an old head way of thinking, and I need to get out of it. But I'm still one of those people that like strongly gives a lot of grace to point guards and centers in terms of their development, right? Point guards because they're learning the game. I mean, and also, there's a physicality involved there as well. But especially when it comes to big men, I mean, you're going up against grown men. And for these super young guys that come into the league as big men, like sometimes that can take them a little bit to get their footing. And obviously picking Clingan the year before, I mean, yeah, it's a curious move. I'm relieved in a weird way that it's not this conundrum at center. Like, what do we do right now? Like, I'm glad that it's kind of a non-issue at this point. And I think the jury is still out on him. I mean, obviously, there are guys who are making more immediate impacts around the league, and it's always easy to kind of look around and go, "Oh man, if we had taken this guy instead, look what he's doing over there." That's always going to happen. There are a lot of people doing that about Tumani Kamara as well, right? So, weird draft pick, looked like a steal during Summer League, and now it's back to, some people using the B word and things like that. Bust, by the way, not the other B word. But but yeah, I mean, I just kind of look at that move like I get why they did it. I don't necessarily think they had to do it, obviously, but I think the jury is still out. So that move to me is just a TBD.
Yeah. Well, I definitely feel like, they had to have already known or had a good feeling that they were going to buy Ayton out and move on from him. At least, like I said, maybe you give him one more year or something at worst. But yeah, so they have Rob Williams, who hadn't at the time been able to play more than 20 games as a Blazer. I think they played 26 in 2 years, or his first 2 years here. He's been better this year in terms of being available, but he's coming up. He's an expiring contract this year, so I think there was a little element of, we're gonna look like geniuses here, taking this guy who no one else thinks is rated this high, and then we'll look how smart we'll look when he turns out to be our backup center, or even push Donovan Clingan, like a lot of people thought, like by this point Young could be our starting center, which is
or God forbid, play them both at the same time. I mean, I saw talk of that, and I was just like, okay, I have the brain injury, and I'm not even saying that.
Right. So I think, like, you can see the mindset. I think it was, okay, Rob Will's going to have some value, at worst as an expiring contract, but if he's somewhat healthy, maybe, there's been a lot of rumors over the last couple of years about teams being interested in him despite the injury. So if he's somewhat healthy, maybe he has some value. If they seem to talk, it wasn't quite as bad as like the Scoot Henderson draft or whatever, but there was some talk, like Billups in particular, saying, he's ready to go in a game right away and be a rotation player. Like, I feel confident putting him on the floor day one. And so I think they thought maybe, with Ayton potentially being about to be released, and then Rob Will, that leaves him available to be traded, that they would have their long-term answer at center, whether it's one of those guys or both of them, or, I mean, you already kind of knew one of them was set, but I think they just thought he was going to step up and be in that role much quicker than it looks like now it's going to be. And now they're kind of in a weird situation where if they're going to make a playoff push, or a play-in push at least, I don't think Young Hansen is very playable moving forward towards the end of the season or into the playoffs. And now you still have Rob Williams. Like, so do you trade him still? Do you figure out someone else as the backup center if you do that? Or what do you do at center? We saw last night in a game where Rob Williams wasn't able to play on the second night of a back-to-back, that they really struggled in the minutes where Clingan or they went small a few times, but not having a backup.
We're doing this game. We're doing this video after the Raptors game, the home game against the Raptors. Yeah.
Sorry. No. So a bit of it is like, I think they projected him to be a little bit further along than he was. So once again, it comes back to, if expectations would have just been tempered with a Scoot Henderson, with a player like Young Hansen right away, then players or fans wouldn't have expected him to be the Asian Jokic or whatever. And then, so then when he's really struggling on the court and doesn't look like he can play in the NBA right now, I still think they're not doing the best service to some of their players. This kind of leads into, with the draft talk, number 5, which was the Blazers drafting Donovan Clingan at number 7 in the 2024 draft. So
7 or first, whichever way you want to look at it.
So there was some talk that the Blazers were looking to potentially move up to get him, and then there was like some weird circumstances with the Hornets at 6 right in front of us on the clock. They were at one point rumored to be closing in on a deal with Memphis to jump us a couple or one spot to get Clingan potentially, or maybe they would have just taken Edie there and worried that we were going to take him. I don't know which of those is the right one, but Memphis was definitely trying to move up. I think the Blazers explored moving up until they figured out that the Hornets weren't taking a center and were going to take Dejan Salon. And I think that they did well to not give up any assets and get the guy they wanted. And you know, at the time, it's not really like the sexiest pick or whatever. But he's come in and you know, he's had some struggles, but there's been very few instances of players that come in and have such a good grasp and impact on the defensive end right away.
Yeah.
And the Blazers happen to get a couple of them in Tamani and Clingan in back-to-back off seasons. And it felt like, because at the time they still had Ayton and all that kind of stuff, so there was that weird dynamic of, as Clingan outplayed him, it kind of reminded me of the 2019 playoffs where it became obvious that like Zach Collins and Rodney Hood were better than Mo Harkless and Enes Kanter moving forward for the Blazers. Now they all get injured, so it didn't matter that next season.
Both those guys.
But for anyone who watched those games, like, it's like, wow, they come in and have an impact off the bench, and the guy in the starting lineup is putting up numbers, but like, is he really impacting winning and stuff, or is he just doing it for himself?
Well, it's just like what I was referring to with Ayton before. Yeah.
And so I think the overall thing why I put this at number 5 is just that the Blazers, now that he's in a year and a half into his career, I think it's pretty clear that the Blazers have their long-term starting center, and to just be able to get him in the draft at number 7 and get a guy that you can plug in for a decade and be your starting center, I think that was a huge move and a great pick. And it's really nice to have that basically penciled in now as I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I'm pretty confident in Clingan. He's starting to show off some offensive skills as well lately. So I feel very confident that we have our long-term answer as part of our core at center. And I think that draft pick was vastly important to this kind of arc we're on.
Yeah, I totally agree. I definitely see Clingan that way. I was thrilled with the draft pick. I thought, you know, a player of his caliber, also coming from that tremendous amount of success that he had in college. So coming in with an attitude of, you know, I won at the highest level previously where I was at. And so that's why a guy like him can be such a factor in a game in which maybe he's only giving you 7 or 8 points, you know, that kind of thing. He's been really great to watch. It's great to watch his development. I think he's tough. I think he's smart. I think he's a great team defender as well. I think he talks well out there on the court. Obviously, man, if you've got somebody like him and you've got somebody like Tumani, not to mention the effort of all the other guys, but you're in really, really good shape defensively. So I totally agree with you. I never for a second from the draft pick ever worried about Clingan.
Yeah, that's good. And yeah, I guess he won championships in high school as well. So like he comes in here like, oh, I'm a winner. Like,
I mean, now look, I'm not going back to the old days where Shaq was with the Orlando Magic, had not won a championship yet, and they were asking him about his championship aspirations, and Shaq said the famous quote, "I've won at every level except college and pro." So
Yeah, right.
it's like
Um,
just an amazing quote.
yep. But yeah, it might get overlooked by some stuff, but outside of one other thing that we'll talk about, I really think drafting him and just having that solid defensive center, when that was one of our biggest weaknesses, I think that kind of really transformed the direction and marked the point where, okay, this rebuild's actually building towards something instead of just
Well,
throwing
and
yards
if
of
you're going to be a team that's going to be built around, guys like Shaden, guys like Deni, you can't have, a volume guy in the post. Like
yeah.
you just can't have it. So when you also look at like how Clingan complements those guys, I mean, it's really a perfect fit for what this team is building.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Rich. Now we're into the big four. This is crazy. I cannot believe. I mean, honestly, any of these four would be number one for most teams.
Any other stretch of time? Yeah. I'm so
yes,
curious how you've got these ranked.
yes, and so in my head, I keep saying, no, I should move this to number one. No, I should move this, right? Like I keep flipping back. But number four, I'm gonna stick with. And this is one that I didn't want to talk to you about it because I wanted the list to just be us bringing it up on this video.
Yeah.
But so I asked some people I knew, like, hey, here's like 15 things that have happened in the last 2 years. Can you guys think of anything else? And someone was like, what about this? And I was like, I cannot believe I forgot about that one.
Okay.
So this is the one.
So this is the one. This is the one you forgot about.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I mean, it's recent, so I don't know why I forgot about it, but I I cannot believe we're talking about this as number four. But Rich, we had our first game of the season this year, and
I remember it well.
We wake up the next morning to our head coach Chauncey Billups getting arrested by the FBI.
Yeah.
For rigging poker games. And being involved with the mob, and then also I don't know if he's officially charged in this yet or not, but he was definitely a co-conspirator to alleged not fixing of games, but insider information on injuries, right. Or giving these guys information that the Blazers were about to start tanking games and sitting players out, so bet on games before it's announced type of thing.
Yeah.
Just like what were your thoughts when you find out Chauncey Billups is now arrested? And I mean, we can, if you want, you could touch upon like what you think of him as a head coach. I mean, we already talked about the extension a little bit, but like he doesn't have a winning season in 4 years, and then they changed the narrative to be like, oh well, Chauncey can actually coach now. We're not making him lose games on purpose. So that's been the problem. But it's not Chauncey's coaching. Don't worry about that. He's the perfect coach. Like now we have a team where we want to make the playoffs, so we'll let him actually do what he wants to do and coach the team.
And he's finally got his vaunted guys, etc. Yeah.
So now he goes through, we have this season, we have the Scoot injury, so maybe you can blame that. But this was going to be the year he shows us what he's capable of as a head coach, right? How he can command this group. And then all of a sudden you find out he's a dirtbag who rips people off for money and all this stuff. Just crazy, right? Like, that's insane. What were you thinking when he got arrested?
If I had told you that we'd be sitting here on January 24th and the Blazers, Chauncey had only lost one game with the Blazers.
How would you feel? It's so funny. I remember, so we played Minnesota opening night, right?
Yeah.
Ant Edwards goes crazy, you know, and we lose a pretty competitive game. There were some questionable coaching moves in that game, but not completely egregious. And then I wake up the next morning and I've got an alert on my phone from ESPN, and it just says Blazers coach Chauncey Billups, and then it's ... And I'm
Yeah.
sitting there thinking to myself, did we fire him after last night? Like,
One game?
what is going on? One
What?
game? Like, this guy is really, this new owner is really a go-getter, even though the deal wasn't
You
final.
lose one game, you're out.
Yeah. And he was in attendance, right? So I was like, he's seen enough. So, yeah, crazy story. I think I told you when he was first hired. Well, no, we weren't friends yet then. We weren't talking yet. But when he got hired, I never, ever believed he wanted to be a head coach. And I believe that the allegations now are starting to maybe make a little more sense to me as to why he was a head coach in the first place. He wanted to be a general manager. He tried to get multiple general manager jobs throughout the league. I think he had an opportunity potentially. Alex Wolf, correct me on this, but to be the Cavs general manager. But it was going to be post LeBron leaving to come to the Lakers, and then Chauncey very famously was on one of the shows and was saying, I'm not stupid, I'm not going there, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, now they've been one of the better turnaround teams in recent years. But so all of a sudden, he latches on to the Clippers right around COVID. Coaches one season as an assistant coach. And he had been doing games in Los Angeles for the Clippers before this. So he's already living in Los Angeles. So then I think he just kind of transitioned into like, okay, well, this makes sense. I'll do an assistant coaching job. My family gets to stay in Los Angeles, et cetera, et cetera. I always felt after crashing out for GM opportunities, he settled for coaching. I never felt like he wanted to be a head coach. And if you look at some of his decisions, I think that would back me up. That I never really believed that his heart was fully in it. Obviously, he got upset at times, got technicals, got thrown out of game, like stuff like that. But I just never felt like this was a burning desire of his to be a coach. And I mean, so that's neither here nor there. I mean, many people do jobs that they don't necessarily want to. So, I mean, I'm not killing him for that, but finding out the news, man, and all of the.
Quick,
go ahead.
I actually disagree. I think just watching him up close here in Portland, I think he did decide that he wanted to coach and thought he would be a good coach.
But are you saying that based on his first year, or you think he warmed into coaching?
Well, I don't know what is correct from those two, but I do feel like at some point he did switch to wanting to coach and he was into it or whatever.
Okay.
The problem is, I think he wanted
he sucked at it.
Like, well, not necessarily that, but he wanted a situation much like you were talking about with the post LeBron Cavs, where it was kind of built in for him to look good right away. So then when it didn't look good, he gets this team with Dame and CJ and Olshey as the GM. And then all of a sudden, less than a year later, Olshey's gone and the team is trading a bunch of guys at the deadline and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it was more just
he viewed himself as like the final piece, players coach coming in, because there was
like
always
a
all this talk
championship
of
coach.
there was all this talk of, well, I'm a winner. I don't know what these guys are doing, but I'm a winner. I'm not going to settle for this.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's easy to win if you have all the cards or the contact lenses that show you what the cards are.
Right.
It's pretty hard to lose.
Well, now knowing that
Allegedly.
information, I mean, knowing that information, I mean, there's videos. I think I've shared them or we've talked about them, but there's videos going back long before he was the Blazers coach, of players talking about, or poker players knowing that you don't want to go to a game if Chauncey Billups is there because it's rigged.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's a great point, because that dude is, when you're rigging games, like you think, oh yeah, this is easy, I'm going to win every time. So like, why wouldn't he have that attitude towards coaching? Like, oh, I want a team with the best players or whatever. And I think he thought, Portland had underachieved. They had lost in the first round to Denver that year. And,
but the three guard lineup had some pretty good success towards the end of the regular season. So,
and you saw Dame, obviously had two really good seasons. One really good season. The first season of Chauncey was marred by him having that core surgery. So like he was kind of hurt from the beginning of the season, so it never really had a chance to take off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he thought, oh, I'm going to come in and it sounds like Olshey's going to make some moves finally, and then we're going to, like, this is easy. All I have to do is beat losing in the first round when Dame scores 55 points and you still can't win a game. Like, all I have to do is win a first round series, and I'm looking really good here.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think he wanted to be a coach at some point. I still think, like, if this hadn't happened and he just got fired this last offseason, let's just say, I think he would still pursue other coaching jobs. Okay. I don't know if anyone would give him one, but now at this point, I mean, he's done in Portland. I don't think there's any way you come back from this.
No.
Even if he like becomes an informant and doesn't end up, or has all the charges dismissed and doesn't get like convicted of anything. And the NBA itself, since there's gambling allegations and stuff, I don't think the NBA should ever allow him to be a coach again.
No.
So I'm pretty sure his career is done, but it's so weird because when he was hired, there was all those, there was the alleged sexual assault allegations.
Yeah.
And, it was a very tough topic to navigate at times. But it's so weird, Rich, because every single person who's ever worked with him or been around him or whatever since then, like, they all rave about him as a person, right? Like, it's so weird. It's almost now seems like it's just like fake or something, but like you outside of that allegation and like, I'm not saying don't believe him or it's false or what, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But like past that, there has not been a single person on record that would say one, like, even negative thing about him, like small thing. And, you see after games, like all these players on opposite teams coming up to him, opposing coaches, all that kind of stuff. Like, that guy was beloved by a lot of people. And for him to be like this, like to be this type of person, after you potentially got away with something earlier in your career, and then rehabbed your image to the point you were getting head coaching jobs to throw that all away for some reason wanting to rig poker games for extra money or like whatever the reason was. I don't know if you got a thrill out of it or what, but like why it makes no sense to me. It still doesn't make sense to me. And I think the bottom line is just a bad dude. Like he's fake. He's created this persona that's not the true him that everyone believes or believed was the true him. And I think he's a bad guy.
Well, going back to his playing career and just thinking of him on the court and thinking of, his camaraderie with his teammates, particularly once he got to Detroit, bounced around a little bit, then got to Detroit, and then went off to Denver and played well in Denver as well. He was one of my favorite players in the league. I mean, just in terms of, his big shot making ability, and just seemed like a really solid teammate. And like you said, people seem to love him. The one thing that I would say from watching tons of documentaries that I still hold in my head, I just think this situation, and we'll probably find out more, but there were like multiple mafia families associated with this investigation, right? So these guys, like, they get their hooks into their bait people, which that's what Chauncey was called. He was bait for these games.
Face or something, yeah.
Yeah. They get their hooks into these people, and now they own you. And now if they tell you, hey, we're gonna have a game in Vegas, would really love for you to be there. And if you're not there, if you're not there, we have all this stuff on you from like things that you did before. Like, maybe he bet on some NBA games or something like that. I mean, we don't know, but just anything that might tarnish his reputation, and they might sell it to him like, just come to this one game, help us out with this one game, and we'll be good with our debt. And then he does that, and then they have such a good response to it and return to it. They're like, oh yeah, and we're going to have another one, and you're going to come to that too. Yeah. Now that's not to make excuses for Chauncey or anything like that, but in trying to wrap my head around this dichotomy of what seems to be a dude that everybody who interacted with him, dealt with him, they really liked him, would run through a brick wall for him, Eric. All of that. That's how I can kind of wrap my head around it a little bit, that he got himself caught up in something that he felt he could not get himself out of. And if we're going from the standpoint of my thesis that he really didn't want to be a head coach, but what out there was going to get him $5-6 million a year, maybe if you're on some level either hurting for money, or if he's involved in this thing because he actually like had a gambling addiction or something like that, that he needed to offset to zero so that like your family doesn't find out about it. Like, I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my head around all the different machinations of how somebody gets themselves that far down the road, because I always think about it like this. Like, we're driving down the road, right? And if you doze off for a split second, and you're like, you catch yourself, well, you probably haven't done much, but maybe veer outside your lane a little bit, that kind of thing. But that's how something starts. If you didn't wake up, you'd be over here, right? So I think maybe that's what happened with Chauncey. He got himself in over his head with people that he shouldn't have, and then he just started doing bad stuff, and he ended up getting busted for it. And maybe he should have turned on those people and become an informant and then rat them out. But then who knows what he was worried about in terms of doing that. So It's hard to say. Do you think he gets convicted over this, or he ends up working out something to where he doesn't serve jail time, maybe flips on the other people and all that? What do you think?
That's really tough for me to answer because if it's true what you're saying that he got in with them, I mean, we're talking your life might be in jeopardy if you flip on them.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
so I don't know. At this point, his basketball career is over.
Yeah, basketball broadcasting, like that's all.
Yeah. I mean, he could maybe start a podcast or something and talk basketball and make money that way. But
Him and Tim Donaghy have to do like this
yeah.
stuff. You know?
But like in terms of being an NBA coach or GM or whatever, like you said, I think that ship has sailed now.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to touch him. But so your career's over. So now it's more like your life is potentially on the line. So I don't know. I mean, is he the type of person? Because if he did get into some sort of debt and then or had something happen and then they've been holding it against him all this time, that still could potentially come out. First of all, if he flips on them.
Yeah.
Second of all, he obviously, if it, just playing along with that theory, then he obviously went along with this in fear that something was going to happen to him or his family if he didn't follow along with it.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know how you flip if that's
even if he didn't truly like fear for his life or his family's life in that way, you darn well better believe that your attorneys will have you frame it that way.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
you know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think I told you this when it first happened. Like the smart play would just be like, no, these guys threatened my family and I had no choice but to keep my family safe or whatever.
Yeah.
By doing this for them. But it all comes back to me like, well, how did you get involved or how did you get that initial debt or whatever that ended up being? That obviously wasn't a good decision. So
yeah.
So I don't know if he flips or not. I mean, I could see it both ways. I could definitely see him doing whatever it takes not to get convicted, but I could also see him just quietly never saying anything again and just taking his punishment. And like I don't know, the FBI investigated a lot of college coaches a few years ago for paying players and stuff under the table and illegal wiring of money and fraud and stuff like that. And none of those guys ended up like there was like so much evidence against all these coaches. They had them dead to rights on tape, like saying stuff and all that. And this is before this recent AI boom where you can just pretend it was all AI. And I didn't say that, it's fake. Nothing would really surprise me if all these charges against all these people end up eventually being dropped at some point. I could see it happening anyway, but I don't know. Just bottom line is I think he's done with basketball, and it's just so weird after one game to just see him come down. And like it was also kind of funny that they waited until, because apparently I don't know if you saw this part, but apparently they had been tailing him for several days.
Okay.
And like following him around secretly.
Okay.
And watching his every move. And so it was kind of hilarious that they waited until the morning after the first game. I'm actually kind of surprised that they didn't arrest him at the game in the middle of the game. Like that would have been like,
you know
with
what
how
would have been great?
theatrics.
After an unsuccessful challenge,
right.
The result of the challenge,
not only
challenge has been deemed unsuccessful. Chauncey Billups will now be taken into custody.
Yeah. Like what? That's not a bit. Anyway, so just crazy. And then just real quick, how do you think whatever your thoughts on Thiago so far, how he's done? Thiago Splitter was named the the interim coach over Nate Bjorkred, who everyone just assumed was going to take it.
I did too.
Apparently,
Yeah.
he turned it down so he could stay in his defensive role. I think maybe he just didn't want any part of what he maybe deemed a bad situation.
Yeah.
Also, Nate's with what happened in Indiana, if he ever gets another chance to coach again, I'm pretty sure that's going to be his last chances at a head coaching position in the NBA if he doesn't do well. So maybe he was like, man, this situation has the potential to go
I need the right
downfield
situation.
fast. Maybe I should just bide my time to maybe get another shot at a better situation for me.
Yeah.
But what do you think of the job Tiago's done so far?
Well, I mean, you actually, I mean, obviously familiar with Tiago's playing career. You were the one that told me about his accomplishments overseas and kind of the ravings about his offensive schemes and things of that nature. So I was excited. I was excited to turn the reins over to a guy who people are kind of looking at as potentially a good young prospect of a coach. You know, they played very well right out of the gate. So I was super high on him. And then they went through a lull where, you know, guys were out of the lineup. They lost, you know, quite a few games, some that maybe they shouldn't have. And then now they've turned it around here recently. And, you know, obviously we're one game above 500 before the Raptors game go back to 500. But I'm happy. I'm happy with Tiago. I think Tiago has probably. I mean, you know, it's always hard when you bring on a new owner because a new owner, they want to put their fingerprints on everything, right? And you know, probably going to keep Cronin. I don't see them making a change this offseason with Cronin in terms of the moves that he's made to this point. And I would like to see Tiago, you know, get a chance to be the head coach of this team based on what I've seen so far. I'm glad that you added this as a question because I meant to ask you, but I forgot. Where do you think the Blazers would sit right now if Chauncey was still coach?
Oh man, I have no idea.
Do you think they'd be better, worse, about the same?
I think it'd probably be about the same. I think it's more, yeah. I don't know because like their style at the beginning of the season would have had to have changed like it has, I think, and I don't know if Chauncey would have been willing to change what he thought was the right pace of play and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
I don't know. It's a hard question to answer.
Okay. Well, let's move on to your number 3.
All right, Rich. I want so bad for this to be number 1 just based on the history of this channel and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this is the main thing that happened on this channel was everything leading up to the Dame trade and you know, the trade itself, all that kind of stuff was really when you know, it's not really retro, but that's when you really made your mark with a lot of videos and things like that. Had some. I
had no idea that was going. Obviously, I just thought we were going to talk about old stuff, and then all of a sudden, like, oh wait, we're disrespecting the most beloved player in the history of the franchise.
And so, like, our audience grew to being non-Blazer fans at one point.
That's true. A lot of Miami Heat fans for a time.
Yeah. So Damian Lillard gets traded and goes to the Bucks. Has the blood clots this past season. Comes back from that in the playoffs. Is cleared to play, and then in the playoffs tears his Achilles, which puts into motion this set of events for the Milwaukee Bucks in which they outright waive and stretch his contract with multiple years left on it. And all of a sudden, Damian Lillard is a free agent 2 years after we traded him. And so when we get to the question, just come back to this real quick, what did you think about the Bucks situation, how that ended, and their decision to cut him? And did you immediately think, that's where's he gonna go? Could he come back here?
Okay.
But you can include that in your answer coming up. But
Okay.
so number 3 is the return of Dame Time. We end up signing him to a 3-year contract. I think the last year is a player option.
Yeah.
But 2 years for sure. We used that mid-level exception that we got by buying out Ayton. We had gone through free agency prior to this point and had failed to sign anyone. So luckily that was still available, I guess, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah.
So Dame is back in Rip City, home again. And I put this at 3, Rich, even though I wanted to put it at 1, simply because even though he's present with the team this year, it's a little out of sight, out of mind because he's out for the season and not playing. So
yeah, it's like you catch glimpses of him. Like
yeah,
there,
I
you're
couldn't
like, oh, there he is.
justify it. I couldn't justify it putting it over my top 2 just because he's not like if he was out there playing this year, I think it would pretty easily be number 1 that he's back and playing. But so like next year it'll bump up more. But how happy were you when Dame came back and just your whole thought process behind the Milwaukee situation?
First off, so all of the videos that I made, the people versus Joe Cronin video, the whole thing, like all that stuff that I did, ended up getting on the radar of like, I guess Dame's family, like his cousin, who I became a little friendly with on Twitter. And, we had like, some back and forths, really nice guy. So I got to hear a little bit about like what life in Milwaukee was like. Obviously Dame wasn't happy to be so far away from home, things like that. I tried, this was at the time that Dame got traded was when I really started feeling the effects of my brain injury and was like having a hard time being able to even watch a full basketball game. So I was trying to keep up with the Bucks a little bit because, it was very similar to when Drexler got traded to the Rockets. I all of a sudden like was a de facto Rockets fan. I was rooting.
A lot harder to watch Rockets games back then than it is Bucks games now.
Had DirecTV though. I was the first guy I knew that had DirecTV, so I was able to catch all those Rockets games. But and he still was really, really good in Milwaukee. I know his numbers were down, but I mean, you're playing with Giannis, so that's going to happen. He still had some Dame time moments where he still came up big in big moments. But obviously, the story for him in Milwaukee were the injuries to him, the injuries to Giannis. It seemed like they never really could get their footing. And then
they have to deal with Doc Rivers as coach.
Oh, I mean, that'll hamstring you in and of itself. I'm sorry, Doc. That was mean. But when he tore the Achilles, I mean, obviously, look, when a perimeter player like that tears their Achilles, and particularly at that age, you start really like doing math and wondering like, oh my gosh, like, what is going to happen and how is this person, going to come back to, being some level of the player that they used to be. Obviously, with the advancements in modern medicine, the torn Achilles, after what we've seen from Durant and, some other players, it's not the death knell for your career that it used to be. But to answer your question, when Milwaukee waived him and gave him $60 million this year to not play basketball, and I have scored just as many points for the Milwaukee Bucks this year as Damian Lillard has, and nobody paid me to not play. But when I saw that he was making $60 million this year, I started thinking to myself, I was like, okay, he's getting his money this year. I could see him doing the 1 year reunion to just be back home, rehab at home, that kind of thing. So that's where my head was, the rehab year. It'd be a nice PR thing for the franchise. Maybe he signs a 1-and-1, so there's a player option for year 2. So once he's actually healthy, that kind of thing. But when he made the deal for 3 years So obviously this first year is a wash, and everybody knows that going in. But then it's the second year and then the player option for the third year. But all of his talk of, no, I'm back home, like this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
I was so happy for him. I was so happy for his family. I was like, I had so many emotions about it that were not about basketball, you know? Um, Obviously, the opportunity to kind of smooth over this stretch. People have also said this so much to the point that it's almost cliche, but when you look at the kind of team that we have with guys like Kamara and Clingan, and it's like, man, Dame would have loved to have played with this team, and Deni, right? Like being
Yeah.
able to pair him with a guy like Deni who can take a lot of the offensive load, take a lot of punishment, so on and so forth. And now you give Dame an opportunity to maybe, be a closer. I mean, he was always a closer, but, like have guys who can kind of carry the load more for 3/4 and things like that. It's super exciting, regardless of how the basketball works out, regardless of how he bounces back from his Achilles tear. And I have all the belief in the world that he's going to put the work in and do everything that he needs to do to come back as close to his old self as possible. But yeah, I wondered if you were going to put this at number one too, because it's just such a feel good story. I was so happy. I remember when I was where I was when I heard the story, and I was just so happy. And I remember I messaged his cousin Brookfield Deuce, and I messaged him, and I said something like "Yes, sir," and like with like a bunch of exclamation points, and he just wrote back, how happy they all are and stuff like that. So I'm so happy for the family. So yeah, I mean and just in terms of like the value that you get, I mean it's a tremendous value. It bought, Cronin, Jody, bought all of them, some PR points, which I know they always care about, that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean I could go on and on about just the, you know the feel good parts about the trade. I don't know if there's something I didn't answer that you asked, but yeah, I was so happy, couldn't believe it. I mean it was, it's not like Clyde came back at the end or anything like that. So yeah, it was wonderful. I cannot wait to see him play next year.
Yep. And yeah, it's I agree with you. I feel like he's put to bed any concerns that is just like, oh, you're just rehabbing in Portland and want to get paid for it. I feel like it's pretty clear he made the decision that he wanted to be back in Portland and didn't want to go elsewhere, that he maybe even regretted, despite all the reasons we've talked about on this channel, him very like clearly, I think, needing to request that trade and feeling slighted and stuff by the organization and all that kind of stuff. I do feel like he still wishes he didn't request the trade despite the whole organization lying to him and all that kind of stuff. And maybe it took him getting traded to have to realize that. But I think if you really asked him, I think he would say he wishes he never left. But also,
Well, but at the same time, like, look, but both you and I are, getting up there in life and in years and things like that. Like, sometimes never having a regret, even if the choice that you made did not work out great, but at least you never have to wonder. Like, I wonder what would have happened had I gone for a championship, and pushed for a trade to a contender, that kind of thing. He got that. I don't want to say he got it out of his system, because I believe that the pieces are in place, and with the draft capital and things like that, the pieces are actually in place to where, I mean, it's you're sticking a needle through thread, but he could actually have a window for 2 or 3 years to actually finish his career with the championship, which is something that I never would have thought when we traded him away. So yeah, I still believe never having any regrets, regardless of whether it works out well or not. I think that's always a good path to go.
And once again, like I said, we make fun of Joe Cronin a lot, but props to him. Apparently, he swallowed the sword and went and mended the fence with Dame.
Yeah.
And so just credit to him, because it would have been very easy to just try to keep up the persona that it was Dame that left you and you wanted him to stay and all that. But clearly there was some, whether it was just misinterpretations, I don't believe it was that, but clearly something happened between the two of them. You know, Dame didn't thank him at all when he thanked every single other person in the organization when he left. He didn't say a word about Joe in that letter to the fans. And so, yeah, credit to Cronin and to Dame for both realizing their mistake and mending that bridge to the point where, like, I don't know how good their relationship is anymore, but at least it's good enough to know that Dame belongs back here. And it was just so good to have him back.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a little weird because it's like we're still waiting for that carrot to be eaten. Like we haven't gotten to eat the cake yet, right? So like someday it's still dangling out there. Oh, Dame's gonna be back next year, but like, so it kind of sucks that we don't get to see him this year at all. But I'm also impressed with Dame having the level-headedness to just sit out and be like, okay, I need to do this. I need to sit out the year. I can't push myself too much, because you see some of those workout videos of him right now and you're like, oh, maybe
I know. Me too. Yeah.
Was like, no, just sit out, like it's fine. And so yeah, credit to both of them. Really cool to have them back.
Yeah, it's a great story.
All right. Number 2 would also be the top story, I think, for any other team if this happened. But I actually think number 1 is more important to the long-term kind of development and, you know, trajectory of this team.
Okay.
So I'm going to put number 2 is Jody Allen selling the team. And are you surprised it's not number 1?
You know what? I don't know if it's brain injury or what. I can't think of what number 1 is.
Okay. Well, good.
So I mean, I'll like, and obviously you'll say it. I'll be like, oh well, duh, of course. I mean, is Jody selling the team also the new owner? Like, I mean, that's this is one thing, right?
Yeah. Okay. So so a group led by Tom Dundon, who's the Carolina Hurricanes hockey team owner. Although they've won a championship, but they've had some relative success in the NHL under his leadership. And so, yeah, we're going to have a new owner in town. They keep saying it's sometime in March, into March, when he's expected to take over.
Okay.
Still has to pass the board of governor votes and all that kind of stuff. And I think he's still, they had, I don't know, like, I'm not a rich guy, so I don't know this world, but like apparently you like enter a negotiating window to buy a team, but they've made an agreement, and then he has a certain amount of time to get the funding, which apparently he's gotten. There was a little bit of worry at one point when one of the other ownership groups that was bidding for the team felt like one of the groups, the Panda Express group, that is now funding Tom Dundon.
I love Panda Express, by the way. Side note.
They had an agreement with this other ownership group that they were backing them, so they flipped sides, and I guess that all got worked out. But basically, Tom Dundon needed some extra funding for it to buy the team, so we'll see how that impacts it. But what finally, like, so we had the thing that came out a few months prior where they were officially up for bid or up for auction, and then corresponding with them announcing that they actually had a potential buyer. What were your thoughts on that whole process?
Well, like I said earlier, when we had the joint press conference about the extensions, I started to think like, this might happen. And maybe even before that, there was the public announcement that the Blazers are now for sale, right? Like they had made that public, I think, months prior.
Yeah,
I
it was
mean,
sometime after the regular season ended.
yeah,
Between that and
yeah. So it was just, I mean, manna from heaven. I mean, just waited a long time for this to happen. Rest in peace to Paul Allen, obviously, who, I mean, we almost went to the antithesis of Paul Allen's type of ownership when his sister comes in. And, Jody, I mean, I gave her, obviously I gave her a lot of grief and she deserved it. But she did go to school for drama at Walla Walla, Washington. So, I mean, clearly, clearly qualified to run the team. But, the comments that she had made in the past, mocking her brother, why do you care so much about this? Your little toy, owning the Seahawks, owning the Blazers. That first year that she took over after Paul passed away, she really did nothing because Neil O'Shea basically ran the franchise for that year, and we ended up going to the Western Conference Finals. He made a couple of great pickups in Enes Kanter and Rodney Hood. But once she started to get her hooks into the team and really start screwing around with the salary cap and making sure that we were hard capped and things like that. And we're handcuffed. We can't do anything. It just became really infuriating. Obviously, never talking to the fans ever was just really frustrating. It makes you feel, it just kind of makes you feel bad as a fan base. Like, when your owner's not willing to get out there and talk. And obviously she wasn't as media savvy as her brother was, but at the same time, it's like, just like say something. Like, don't hide behind, Burt Cole.
Paul didn't talk much either.
Well, yeah, but he's still, I mean, you could catch him in scrums at practice or, media day or things like that. And there was no questioning his passion for the team. Obviously, I mean, I love watching old clips and seeing him with the full on beard and, just jumping up and down, like a casual fan and stuff like that. It's great. So yeah, I mean, was just extremely happy. I may have sent a ding dong, the witch is dead text to you that day. But I have a brain injury, so I can feign fuzziness on that. But yeah, I mean, it was just
totally unrelated.
Yeah, unrelated.
Yeah,
but I was really concerned that it wasn't going to happen this soon. I was concerned that she was truly going to wait for Vegas and Seattle. I was deathly afraid of that, and I did not sense urgency from Adam Silver and the league in terms of getting the Blazers sold. So, I had concerns that she was going to hang on to it. That's why when they decided to sell it, but then again, then you see them making the move for Jan, and okay, is this an opportunity to sell at this time because you're going to be able to, market a lot of games in China and things like that. So who knows? But the end result, and I have some concerns. We are going from, I mean, now, obviously, even though Jody's a billionaire, Jody didn't run the team like Paul. But we had it real good for a long time in terms of a deep-pocketed, small market owner who did not run
Did
the
not run it
team.
like a small market. Yeah.
What's that?
Didn't run it like a small market for a while. Yeah.
Right. So now we're owned by a guy who, as you put it, had to come up with the money, right? And he has run, from what I've been able to like research and glean, he's been able to run the Carolina Hurricanes pretty responsibly physically. So like I mean obviously
But also being good.
what's that?
But while being good too. It's not like they're the
Right.
Oakland A's or something.
Right. So, I mean, obviously, there's a devil you know versus the devil you don't know. I'm still good with the devil I don't know. Let's go with that
Right.
guy. Let's go with that guy. So I'm very hopeful. I'm just extremely hopeful for it.
Cool. All right.
So
Well, that brings us.
Why am I? Oh, I know what number one is. Okay.
What?
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I want you to guess.
It's the emergence of our superstar, Deni.
Yes.
Yes!
That is the number one. Yes, you got it. So I put it number one. Well, the Deni trade also happened in this time.
While I was gone,
that's a big part of it. So the Blazers make a trade. They ended up with 2 lottery picks in the Donovan Clingan draft, the 7th and the 14th pick. They ended up trading one of those picks to Washington, along with one of their future 2029 first, the second best of 3 of them that they potentially have. And then, so they get Deni Avdija from the Washington Wizards, and did not start out well. He had a really rough stretch to begin the year last year. But then somewhere near the middle of the season, just really picked it up.
He was also being used. I mean, his minutes were not reliable.
Yeah, but then so the second part of last season, he was just incredible. It was like, can he sustain this moving forward? Because he's playing like at an all-star level. He has a summer where he competes with the Israeli national team, and he continues just carrying teams, putting up huge numbers in the Eurobasket, and then comes in this season and is just an animal this year, man. He's been incredible. So the big question this whole time since we've traded Dame was like, how are we going to get that star player? How are we going to get the guy, right?
On the roster already?
Yeah. Is it going to be Scoot? Is it going to be Sharpe? And if those guys are good but not great, how are we going to get that pick? Especially moving forward, if we're good enough to not have like a top pick, but we're not bad enough to or we're not bad enough to have a top pick, but we're also not good enough to be a championship team. Like, how do we get out of that little window? Because a lot of people talk about that, like mediocrity in the NBA is like the hardest thing to get out of. Like you can very easily get stuck in there for years.
You can bottom out and get lucky, but it's real hard to adjust on the fly like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So just him, I mean, they're going to announce the team soon. Like if he's not on the all-star team, it's one of the biggest snubs ever, probably.
Yeah.
He's got to be on there. He's just having a phenomenal year. And now we're talking about he's probably, a little bit of this might be, there's now a games played minimum of 65 games. So a lot of players aren't going to qualify, but not only is he an all-star this year, I think he's got a good shot at being an all-NBA.
Yeah,
with how well he's been playing, and a little bit of that might be how the Blazers finish this season. If they end up being in the play-in or the playoffs, that would help a lot.
Yeah, they typically reward team success with those spots.
If they kind of falter and fell back to like 11th or 12th, then maybe he doesn't get those votes. But man. Just having a guy that now we can say, okay, now we can argue can he be the number one on a championship team? Maybe that's a fair question. But I think it's clear that we've at least found a guy we can go to and say, this is our star player. This is our all-star. This is the guy who's going to make it all happen. And I think it helps when that guy is got good size and
Yes.
is kind of a player who, well, if you believe he's a foul baiter or not is a different story. But we know, like most superstar players have an ability to get to the foul line.
Sure.
And he's been huge at doing so. Whether you want to think it's a grift or not, he is mastering driving to the hoop and getting to the line, which is very important for a star player.
Yeah.
And it's very important.
Just getting the respect.
Getting
the respect from the officials is huge.
Yeah, getting the star treatment. And then also the ability to see the floor and pass, having like a point forward type player is also a thing that you can really build around and transform a team to build around that guy. So it's, I mean, I get the arguments for a long time. You can't build around an undersized point guard who doesn't play defense or whatever. But now we have that guy back, and we have a star player to pair him with, and we have still the potential of Scoot and Sharpe to take those jumps as well. And so I think Deni just emerging as that star after we traded for him. Once again, shout out to Cronin for that move. But I think just his emergence has really, I mean, all these things we talked about, how the franchise has had like kind of a shift in direction recently. I think you can all trace back to Deni Avdija becoming the guy, and now it becomes, how do we maximize his time here, especially the next couple of years while he's still cheap before we have to pay him a max contract.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But so yeah, now it becomes, get him some shooters so he can space the floor, get him some help in the areas that the team is weak, fill out the bench with actual rotation players versus G League players or whatever.
Yeah.
Instead of that conversation we were having just a short time ago, where it's like, man, I don't know if any of these guys are the guy. How are we going to get that guy?
Yeah, I mean, so going back to the trade. So the trade for him, when they traded for him, I knew of Deni. I watched him play in Washington just a couple of games. And I really liked his moxie a lot. I really liked his willingness to mix it up inside, go strong to the hole. He was a good shooter. So when they made the trade for him, I mean, you always want to be a little bit concerned about, okay, production on a bad team. Like, you know, how much concern do you have about that? Like, is he being?
It was really like a couple months too, like the end of his last season there. He hadn't
Yeah,
been super
right.
productive.
Right. And then you start thinking, okay, well, who is he doing this against? Like, you know, are they already out of the game while he's doing this? So on and so forth. But I still thought his skill set translated to a really great trade. I thought it was a great trade. And I think you and I talked about this the other day on the phone, but like, I remembered thinking, okay, if he's your third best player, that's a great third best player in terms of what I projected him to potentially be, which was like a high teens type of player, like in terms of like, you know, 18, 19 points per game, all around game, you know, 6 or 7 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists, like that kind of thing. But his emergence this year, and I remember, I think it was last season. Well, yeah, it was last summer. Him talking about wanting more responsibility. He wanted this, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I love hearing this. Can he handle that? And 2, will the franchise actually
give him a shot to do that, as opposed to being so guard oriented, trying to make the guard situation pop and things like that. And, obviously Scoot being hurt doesn't necessarily hurt Deni's, asserting himself because it's needed. But you mentioned his size, obviously, and he's deceptively big. Finding out that, I remember the first time I found out that he was 6'8", I was like, really, 6'8"? It just, his fluidity out at the top of the key and driving to the hole, you don't necessarily think that it's 6'8", but he's got great size, like you said, and just his willingness to be a passer. I'm super excited to see what he is going to be like on the floor with Dame, his ability to create gravity, draw attention away from Dame, and then the kickouts to him. Dame's ability to allow Deni to have more one-on-one play to drive to the basket with. I mean, it's so exciting. Do you think, right now, would you say Deni would be the best teammate that Dame would have had in Portland? Would you put him above LaMarcus right now? Obviously, we're not going to say the best person Dame's ever played with, because that's Giannis. And when we make the trade for Giannis, this will be a moot point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. I mean, Aldridge was really good. Don't get me wrong, but I think Deni's playing better than him right now, and I also, I'd say Deni is a better pairing for Dame than
there's an X factor. There's an X factor to Deni, and maybe it's that moxie, that wanting the ball, his assertiveness, that kind of thing that LaMarcus never really had.
But it's also so Aldridge was a post up / pick and pop big man. So it was always Dame has to get him the ball, right?
Right.
Whereas it's not like Aldridge was bringing up the ball and creating a shot out of no offense in an ISO situation.
Right.
It was just post up on the left block or, pick and roll type situation. So with Deni, now Dame has a guy where it's like, hey, you bring up the ball, take all the pressure off of me. I can go run around some screens or just spot up and be your kick out option for a three. I just think it's a next level in terms of that. So maybe it's a little unfair to LaMarcus to think of it in terms of how they fit with Dame, but I think if we're just talking about how good a duo could be, I think it's pretty clear. Because, I mean, every other duo it'd be him and another guard, basically. So it's like...
Or West.
Maybe Nurkic before he hurt his leg.
Before the break, in
2019. But I think Deni's obviously better than Nurkic was. So, I'd say this is potentially the best Blazer teammate he's ever had.
Yeah, I mean, it's super exciting. It's been great to see all of the weird, I kudos to Deni for, he's getting a lot of strange hate online and stuff like that just for where he's from, which is a real shame. I think he's handled that really well with just kind of deflection and things like that. But I'm just so excited. It's great to have, we haven't had a guy like this since Brandon, really. And I would almost, I almost said Clyde there because Clyde had such size at 6'7" and could play small forward, and was also getting more people involved. I think I think Deni's all-round game reminds me a little bit more of Clyde than it does Brandon, because I don't think Brandon quite had the all-round game that that Deni has. But I'm super stoked, man. I'm so glad you picked this as number one. At first, I was like racking my brain. I was like, what could it possibly be? But it's been great. Never in my wildest dreams did I think he was going to pop like this. So it's been great to see. What okay? What would you give up Deni Avdija for?
Like if we're trading him?
Yeah. So like, how much value does he have to you right now?
I mean, obviously there's a few players that I'd trade him for, but
right, like if Luka said, I want to go to Voodoo Donuts or something like that. I mean, that's different.
But like I would say right now, I mean, I don't know, like the McHale Bridges 5 first-round picks. I would say why are you doing that?
I agree.
Like what? Like yeah, you could get lucky on one of those picks, or you could.
But you've already gotten lucky. You've got it.
Yeah. So I don't know, and he's young. He's under a great contract still for 2 more years. I don't really think there's anything I'd trade him for outside of, like I'm trying to like Wembanyama or something, like obviously if the Spurs offered us something like that.
Let me ask you a better question. Let me ask you a more responsible question. That was kind of a bad question. Where would you put Deni in the NBA right now? Would you say he's a top 15 player?
I'd say he's in that 15 to 20 range. Yeah. For sure. I do think he's, like I said earlier, he should be in the running for an all NBA team this year, which is incredible.
What do you think about most improved?
I think he's pretty much locked that up by this point. There were some other players that have been playing or that have had good seasons. A couple of them kind of fallen off a little bit. Deni has not. So in short of him having the back issue flare up all season and not playing enough games, I don't see any way you can't give it to him right now. There's like Peyton Watson has been really coming on lately and playing well in Denver with their injuries, but he hasn't done it all season, and he's still not putting up the numbers that Deni's putting up right now. So I think it's got to be Deni as most improved.
And Deni's putting up these numbers with every team's defensive focus aimed squarely at him.
Yeah, maybe not at the beginning of the year, but definitely now.
Now. Yeah. Well, cool. Do you have any closing thoughts on this list that you so wonderfully put together? This was the perfect amount of work for me to do for an episode back, which means I had nothing to do. Just show up and record, which we proved was a Herculean effort in and of itself the last time, but I'm so glad that we were able to do this, and we'll figure out in the future, when we'll film something else. But do you have any other thoughts on your list or anything like that?
No, it's really fun talking to you, Rich. And like always, every time we do one of these or talk on the phone or whatever. Well, my first thought is, man, this guy talks a lot. But second is man, it's just I always enjoy our conversations, and
I'm so embarrassed by that. I really am, because I ramble so badly, and I swear to you, my hand to God, I swear to you, I was not this bad. But
no, I got to give you props, man. You did a pretty good job of once I had that conversation with you after the last failed attempt, you did well. For those that didn't hear at the beginning, so Rich and I tried to film another episode, and when we were taking a break, when we thought we were still going to come back, I was like, dude, you got to start staying on the topic at hand, because you're starting to talk about things that are on the list further down, and then you just go on talking about it for minutes. And
I was like on number 10, and then I'm like, but now we've got Deni Avdija, who is clearly our superstar. And you're like, oh god. You're taking away future topics.
Yeah.
So,
And then we re-signed Dave, and he's back now, and I'm so excited
yeah,
about
exactly.
that. Yeah.
So
And
I tried to.
like, dude, Rich, we're on number 9. Stop.
I tried to behave as best I could.
No, you
But
did
anyway,
great,
but
man.
this was a lot of fun. As I said to you at the top, your friendship means the world to me. So
Yours too, man.
yeah. So I will. The next trip, hopefully, at sometime here in 2026, is me getting up to Portland. So
That'd be
I'm
awesome.
really hoping that we can make that happen. Maybe by year's end or something like that. But anyway, it's great to see you. I guess I'll go ahead and sign off. Hey, click like, share, subscribe on the channel. We gotta get the subscriptions going back again. We actually didn't lose a lot of subscribers while I was gone. Probably people they forgot that it was there in their subscriptions. And of course, now I say that we'll lose a few because of today's episode. But thank you guys so much. As always, doing this with you, Eric, it's been a blast. Thank you so much for putting the list together. We'll figure out what to do in the future. So just tell everybody where they can follow you and catch up with you on Blazers Uprise. Just go ahead and do that real quick.
Yeah, so do shows, post-game shows on Blazers Uprise. Just search Blazers Uprise on YouTube. It's by far the most watched Blazers platform out there. And then we'll also be streaming live on trade deadline day, February 5th, coming up. So if you're interested in trades, we break down every trade, react to them live. It's usually like a 5 or 6 hour stream. So look for us there. I'm also on Twitter at HoopsJock is my handle. So you can find me on there. So thanks everyone for watching and supporting the channel and all that. And also just thank you to anyone who helped Rich out with his last video. And to anyone, even if you just left a comment wishing him well, it was just really nice to see so many people react to that and wish you well and all that kind of stuff. So thank you to all those who did that.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. And I totally agree. I addressed all those folks at the top in the intro video, but they can always get more praise. So that's cool with me. So we're going to leave it at that. Eric, until next time, it's great to see you. And Deni, Avdija, take care of that back. Like it should say in the injury report, Deni, Avdija back, carrying team. Like that's the back injury. And take it from me, somebody with back injury, like you do not want to fool around with that stuff. So hopefully he can get this back situation taken care of. So until next time, I'm Rich Finley. That has been Eric Brandt, and we will talk to you soon.